Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Football, where I give you all of the football news with none of the guff, including those little verbal typos that happened just there. That was fun. Anyway, first up, Crystal Palace have signed Adam Wharton from Blackburn Rovers. This, I feel, is a fairly big deal. It's not gone through yet, but they've agreed a fee of £18 million plus add-ons. He's a very, very promising midfielder. Likes to play a little bit deep, but he's very playmaking in his style, which is quite intelligent, especially for what Crystal Palace tend to look at doing. They sign the top championship talents. Think Eze, think Elise, build them up, sell them on for a profit after they've made the most of them in terms of youth years. This, I think, follows their ideology really well. He's a player that will become a much better player than he is at the moment and eventually develop into a fairly big talent. Now, £18 million plus add-ons isn't too much for Crystal Palace to spend. In total, it'll come to 22 million quid. It's more a question of, is it going to be worth it in the short term? It's a very odd choice, in my opinion, because he's not going to have an instant impact. I don't see him immediately fitting into the Crystal Palace squad, which means that they will need to sort of bring him in next season and beyond. So maybe they've spent £20 million in the middle of a downswing in form when they might potentially risk relegation in the near future, only to sign someone that can't save them from that fate. In addition to making weird decisions in the transfer market, Chelsea could be forced to sell very soon. Wolves made a bid on loan for Armando Broja, which is completely sensible. Broja is an excellent-looking player, and Wolves are a side that really need a strong number 9 to start making a difference. However, Chelsea have rejected this outright because they need money as soon as possible. And this sort of shows the very, very serious worries that are happening at Stamford Bridge at the moment in terms of FFP. So consider the massive signings they've made recently. Moise Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, even Cucurella was like £60 million. It's absolutely bonkers over there. And they just keep chucking money at players that they sort of like the look of and think are quite shiny without considering the FFP implications, but they're now hitting. And it's starting to feel like they're going to have to sell a lot of homegrown players. They've had to put, for example, Conor Gallagher on the market. He's captained Chelsea before. Armando Broja, they can't let him go out on loan because there's not enough financial benefit to them there. And it feels like they could get desperately scrambling to try and sell off the players they don't want before they end up only receiving bids for the players they do. And once that happens, they are deep, deep in trouble. You can expect them to back away from completing major deals as well. So in summer, if they're not able to fix this, they will need to sell. And they won't be able to buy to make up for it to get good players in. They're in a really difficult position here, and the fact they've got a strong academy is, in my opinion, their only saving grace at the minute. But sadly, it's been a very quiet window overall. In terms of like top tier signings, you've had very little from Premier League clubs, purely because I think a lot of major clubs are feeling the pinch in terms of FFP. Like Chelsea, clubs have gone out their way to spend after COVID, thinking we've got this money again. Didn't quite consider FFP, and now it's hitting, and it's hitting hard. All clubs could be forced into selling more homegrown assets or players that are even in the first team, and this is an issue I can see carrying over into the summer era, and maybe clubs will spend a little bit less. Now, I know that this is something that lots of people have been saying would be good for the game and just calm things down, and I agree. But, pretty big but, it could negatively impact clubs further down the pyramid. If you've got the likes of Chelsea not willing to invest the money, then that money isn't going elsewhere to Porto, who aren't signing championship players, who then aren't receiving funds themselves to spend on other players. And it's a big vicious cycle that I think harms everybody. But we'll have to wait and see. Hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you later.